Hey everyone, this is Shinji with Dystopia Labs, and I have CK Sweat, an auctioneer, with me. To start, I want to thank all of our community partners and also our sponsors for helping us make this event happen. And I will pass it off to CK now to begin the keynote. And thanks so much.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our folks tuning in from around the globe. My name is CK Sweat. I am an auctioneer because I have a big wooden hammer. I started my career at Christie's in 2006. I got that job through a temp agency. I was 23 years old. I didn't own a suit. I didn't know how to tie a tie, and I had no art history background. The job came through a temp agency. It was supposed to be 6 weeks. And I was at the same desk for 5.5 years writing sales pitches to convince people to sell through us and not through our competitor, Sotheby's. In year 4, I got an opportunity to try out to be a charity auctioneer, and I loved it. And now, God, how many years later? 11 years later from that 2010 first charity auction. In non-COVID times, I travel around the world as an auctioneer raising money for charity, but I still have at least one big toe dipped into the art auction world, which brings us to the midpoint of our story, which was May 10th, 2021. If that date is not seared into your memory, well, that was the night that Christie's offered the 21st Century Evening Sale, 32 contemporary art lots. We had, God, I mean, look at the names. We had Basquiat's, we had Louise Bourgeois, we had Carrie James Marshalls, we had Martin Kippenberger, Richard Prince, blue chip legacy contemporary artists. But we also had lot number, what lot was this? I think it's lot number 11. Larva Labs established 2005, 9 CryptoPunks. Estimate, USD, $7 million to $9 million. And this was a big deal. Think back to earlier this spring. It was in March. It was in March that Christie's had the Beeple sale, the first 5,000 days. And the opening bid for that, all online, all automated. I think the opening bid was $1,000, and it sold for $69 million with that premium. And everybody in my world, the art world, was shell-shocked. This was revolutionary to us. And so at that point, I was only, fully admit, I'm not digitally native. I don't know much about crypto. I'm not a DeFi guy. I'm an art world person going back, especially auctions. I'm an art world auction person going back to 2006. And the only thing that was on my radar about any of this was the Esquire profile on Beeple, on Mike, prior to that sale. And that $69 million price tag not only woke me up, but I started getting requests saying, hey, CK, we need you to come into Clubhouse where a lot of these transactions are partially taking place, and we need you to be an NFT auctioneer with your Christie's background. And so I dove into the world and I learned a lot. Still not native, I'm still not fluent, but I can converse, I can get through, which brings us to that May Christie's sale of the CryptoPunks. So we're on Clubhouse, like a lot of us were last spring, and there's a bunch of punks, and it's being led by Farouk, who, if you know, was sort of the grand master of ceremonies of a lot of the drops. And we're just talking. And what I realized at that point more than any other, this sale was what a different civilization my art world background was from those who were digitally native, from the crypto world. We were two different civilizations, and this live auction was the first time that the two worlds were finally getting to meet. So the live auction, it's streaming. We're on Clubhouse. We're paying attention, and the first lot goes up. There's a Alex DeCourt, estimate 60 to 80,000, sells for 187 $187,000. Lot number 2, Solomon Tor, estimate 100 to 150,000, sells for 475. Amoka Bofo, 200,000 to 300,000, sells for 625. Go on to, lot number 5 was a Jonas Wood, estimate 2 million to 4 million, sells for $6.5 million. This sale is going great. But on Clubhouse, I'm getting questions. Hey, CK, did Christie screw up? Everything's selling for above estimate. Does Christie's not know what this stuff is worth? And a light bulb went on for me. I was like, oh, no, this is exactly how you want it to be. You want your estimate to be actually below what you sell the work for. And there's a number of reasons for this. One is you have to have a reserve price for these works. A reserve price is that which it cannot sell below that, but you can't have your estimate be below the reserve, meaning that the lowest possible price potentially any of these works sell for is that low estimate. You want everything to sell. And the reason why you want everything to sell and the reason why you want it to sell above estimate is because then you can go to people the next season who are looking to sell whatever they have. And I know I'm giving a lot right now, but what drives the auction business are the 3Ds, death, debt, and divorce. That makes up the majority of what is sold at Christie's and Sotheby's, something coming from death, debt, and divorce. I had one colleague at Christie's, worked in trust and estates. The first thing he did every morning was go to the New York Times obit to see who had died, because that was his business. And so what I realized is that everybody tuning into this live auction with these estimates is thinking that Christie's hasn't done their job. But I'm like, no, this sale is going great. Everything is selling above estimate. That's what you always want because everyone is looking good. It makes the optics of the art market. Hey guys, we think it's going to sell for this, but it's selling for so much more. You always want things to be above what you anticipate them being. So sales going great, and we get to lot number 8. This is the premier lot of the sale. It's a Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's a Basquiat. And the estimate on request. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means it's probably pretty high. If there's an estimate on request for a piece like this, it means it's probably pretty high. We want a little bit of mystery around it. They open the bidding at $50 million for a piece of canvas with oil on it. 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. It's not that fast. The auctioneer is very reserved. New bidder here at 72.5. That's 75 million on the phone. No bidders were in the room. It was all on the phones or on the internet, but it goes up and up and up. It hammered at $85 million, which is a great price. But you have to remember, maybe you're learning right now that a Basquiat, the top price for a Basquiat ever is $150 million plus. So 93, which is what the final price was with a premium, there's a hammer price, this hammer price sold. And then there are fees and things tacked on, which is 10, 15%. It kind of depends on a number of different factors. But the final selling price for that Basquiat, the lot number 8, was $93 million. And that was really, really cool. Like that was just this incredibly remarkable moment. That's a great price. The art market in May was robust. And so on the Clubhouse, we have everybody who is not, again, art world native or traditional legacy art world native, but crypto native. And there had been a lot of guesses. We were taking bets, little informal bets on what these 9 crypto punks would sell for. And most of the range was between $20 million. And I think the highest I heard was like $42 million. A lot of excitement. So now we're on to lot 11. Larva Labs established 2005, 9 CryptoPunks, number 2, number 532, number 58, number 30, number 635, 602, 768, 603, and 757. The estimate is $7 to $9 million. The opening bid was $5 million, 5.5, 6 million, 6.5, 7 million. And again, because all we're seeing from the camera angle of the live feed of the auction is the auctioneer and then the people on the phones, it appears at this point that there are only 2 bidders. Now, to make an auction successful, you only need 2 people with means and a desire to spend a premium on that which is being sold. Like, it's great if 1 million people or 10 million people or 100 million people like something, but the auction comes down to 2 individuals wanting that thing, competing against each other, with the winner paying the fair market value, because it's what they would pay for the work. So watching from home, and we're live streaming on Clubhouse, we're talking it through. We're like, hey, looks like there's 2 bidders. It's not super fast, but it's going well. So we're at $9 million. We're at $9 million. We're at the top end of the estimate. And this is the first time that something of this, that an NFT of this quality is being live auctioned. Because prior to this, it all been the mechanics. Again, the Beeple in March, that was mechanic. Those were all through computers, but this is a live auctioneer, people on the phones talking. 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11, 11,500,000, $12 million. And it starts to slow. You can see the guys on the phone, the 2 people talking to the bidders out there. Is it going to slow down? Is it going to slow down? Is it going to slow down? 13.5, 14 million. At 14 million, there's a long pause, and I think they got to 14.5. 14.5. Another bid. Anybody at 15? Your bidder on the phone? No? Going once, going twice. Sold to our bidder there for 14.5. Like that. And here's the thing. With premium, that price was $16,962,500 US for 9 8-bit portraits that were created 4 years prior. And the art world was like, wow. Of that wholesale, we're talking 32 lots. That lot, those 9 CryptoPunks, were the second highest selling lot in the wholesale. Another Basquiat came up 2 lots later and sold for 13 million, right? And we're beating these established artists that have decades of incredible auction results. And the second highest price at 16.9 million was Larva Labs, only losing out to that Basquiat at 93 million. And the art world was like, this is incredible. NFTs have arrived. And the crypto world was furious. Absolutely furious. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read 8 tweets from G Money. I'm sure most of you know of G Money. He's a whale, part of Flamingo DAO. I'm just going to read you the tweet that was sent out later that night. How Christie's fucked up the Punks auction. This was supposed to be it. Punks in prime time, a record-breaking sale to the moon. Oh, wait. Not if Christie's had anything to say about it. I had the privilege of getting a tour of the Christie's galleries in Rockefeller Center this afternoon. This is where they showcase the art that will be for the sale in the upcoming auction. Side note, that's where I used to work. I spent a lot of time in those galleries. Back to G Money's tweet. A lot of fellow punks were there. We were all excited. They showed us around. We saw Da Vinci, Basquiat, Haring, Banksy, Warhol, amazing works by numerous other artists. But as we were walking around, we were told to be on the lookout for punks. They're hidden throughout the gallery? Okay, that's intriguing. Here's the first punk that was pointed out to us, the alien. Here's the second punk that was again pointed out to us. It seemed like a miniature version of the punk hunt. Got to find all the punks. As the tour went on, I asked about how the buyer lineup on the lot was looking. And I was told that they wished it was a little stronger. Are you fucking kidding me? You wish there was more buyer demand? Why don't you start by displaying the art properly for starters? Why don't you try and educate potential buyers as to why it might be a significant piece? I wonder why someone might not think a tiny 4-inch by 4-inch piece tucked randomly in obscure corners is worth anything. You literally had one job: find buyers. If I had no idea what a CryptoPunk was walking into the gallery beforehand, I sure as hell had no clue when I walked out. if this is how the traditional art world is going to treat NFTs, that they're definitely in for a rude awakening. Let this be a wake-up call to Sotheby's to do a better job. If that was my lot that was getting sold, that was the presentation I saw, I'd be livid. A 15% commission for this would have been better off selling it online with a 2.5 commission if you're only going to sell it to a crypto buyer. Why do I need an auction house? Keep it up though, Christie's. We'll see just how quickly you become a relic of the past if you do. End of reading. I don't usually like to read, but that was mind-blowing to me. Here I am, traditional Christie's person, watching this auction unfold. And I put a link, if you scroll up in the comments, I put a link to that tweet, and there is a video in that tweet. Check it out if you're interested, but not necessary. I was blown away that was the response, because 16.9 million is so much. The art world could not believe that this generated work from essentially a legacy art world person, not established, was beating traditional blue chip works. But sure enough, everybody on that clubhouse, that crypto, was so disappointed. And so what I have been doing a lot since that May sale is trying to explain to the two sides what just happened. Now, it's important that we give Christie's side of the presentation. Noah Davis, who was the doula or midwife for the Beeple sale at Christie's. He's the one who organized it. He's the one who put it on. And I had a chance to meet and talk with Noah a couple months after all of this. And I will tell you, Noah is a cool mofo. I mean, having worked in this art world a long time, the guy's got charisma. He's got style. He's humble. He's smart. He is the full package. And this is what he wrote in response to G-Money and all the other blowback he got. Howdy, y'all. Because I don't have a Twitter and don't plan on getting one, I thought I should drop this here. Firstly, thank you for all being kind enough to welcome me into your community in the lead up to the Christie sale. You all would have been totally within your rights to treat me as a leech or outsider or villain, but you didn't. Some of you even encouraged me to grab food yesterday evening when I mentioned I hadn't eaten all day because I was way too busy hustling to sell Larva Labs punks for the best possible price, the price they deserved. That kind of compassion is wild and much rarer than it should be in the world. Some of you have taken issue with the way the punks were presented at Christie's, and I want to apologize to anyone who felt the means of display was somehow offensive. I devised the Easter egg style punk hunt as a way to playfully present the punks as basically sneaking into Christie's. I was inspired by Invader and his subtle placement of tiled works in nooks and crannies of city streets. I thought this was honestly a reverential statement to the counterculture nature of the punks. It's very clear to me now how strongly some of you feel the punk should have been more prominently displayed, and I take that to heart. Your feedback is important, and if you've been heard. Save Art Space ran an incredible advertising campaign alongside our sale, and I truly hope it helps to push Silly Tuna's alien price through the roof next month. I know I'm technically a Christie suit, but I hope you know how hard I'm trying to be a kind of punks evangelist from within this 300-year-old corporation. I love you guys and sincerely did not mean any offense with the way I chose to display the punks. End of tweet. And here's the thing. He meant it. 100%. What Noah Davis did was he took a big swing and he missed. He just missed. And he meant no harm. He did it in a loving tradition, but he's a traditional art world person. Like he thought he was being innovative and just screwed up. And he learned. And they've worked so hard. Christie's has worked so hard. Sotheby's has worked so hard. Phillips has worked so hard. And had they been perfect? Not even close. And so I was actually at Phillips for the sale of the Thank You X couple months ago. And I sidled up to Mad Dog Jones, who many of you know. I'd been following him probably more intently than any other artist because I think he is so smart in how he approaches the sale of his works. And I said, just out of curiosity, why? Why are you going through Phillips? Why are you going through Christie's? Why are you going through Sotheby's? And his honest answer to me was really forthright. It's like, I want the cosign. I want the validation. I want my art situated in this context. I want it to be on the same walls, in the same gallery spaces as those Warhols, as those Rembrandts, because I know in my heart of hearts it belongs there. And so it's really interesting to watch these artists sacrifice actual dollars because they are making less money on these to enter into this adjacent civilization. And what I have to emphasize is yes, that is a noble pursuit. But as someone who got into Christie's, through the back door, through a temp agency, not having had any art history, not being connected at all, I'm telling you as an insider, so much of it's bullshit. So much of it as bullshit. I had a very eye-opening experience when my department, year 2 or 3, we were in charge of the summer intern program. We got 870 applicants for 55 summer intern spots. Went through them all, picked who we thought was best. Next summer, I wasn't in charge of this. And the reason why, they took it out of proposals, which is kind of a secondary department, and they put internships into business development. Because what they realized, it didn't matter how qualified you were, how smart you were, how passionate you were about art. The interns they wanted were the children of people who were buying and selling art at above $1 million. And that's, I don't know if it's a dirty secret, but that's the secret sauce of the high art auction world. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how passionate you are. It's how many personal relationships you have with people who are buying and selling above $1 million. That's what makes this business run. It's not the quality of the stuff. It's the quality of the relationships of people who are buying and selling. And it's a fascinating dynamic in one way that was really kind of emphasized to me. And I know that I'm running out of space, running out of time right now, but so many of my friends who work in venture capital and tech over the years have come to me and said, hey, CK, we're thinking about investing in this art startup. Do you think we should do it? And I'm like, no, because these tech guys, these finance guys look at the $40 billion unregulated art market, meet the people working at the art market, and think to themselves, these guys are idiots. They're not smart. I can use my big brain and my knowledge of finance and ops and take over this. And so they invest all this money. The key one was Auctioneer out of Germany, which had like 300 million euro in investment. You know how far Auctioneer got? Not very far at all. Because even though they were super smart and had the great tech and all of that, they didn't have the personal relationships to bring in product and to sell product for the highest prices. And so why that's important to me, and I know it's 6 minutes, be tight, is that the fascinating part of watching the NFT art market explode is those artists that are getting the best possible price, the Mad Dog Jones, the Beeples, there's a whole host. They have done the best job of creating personal relationships with their collectors. I have worked with a lot of other artists who have a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram, have had big commissions, are like seeing these prices, are like, hey, I'm going to mint my artwork, and with my large network of people, I'm going to get great prices. But what they didn't do is they didn't create strong personal relationships with the top potential buyers. And so many NFT drops have just bombed, have just been absolutely terrible because the personal relationships weren't there. And if you talk to any of the artists that have had great prices, what you will find is, I mean, One artist out in LA. He was a traditional art world guy, had a galleryist, would create these paintings, and they would sell for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And his gallery would have sold them. And he'd say, hey, to his galleryist, where'd it go? And so, music industry mogul in Hollywood. He had no idea who the buyer was. When he went to NFTs and started collaborating with folks in that way, he was speaking to the collectors directly, and his prices tripled and quadrupled, and he's never going back to that gallery model, because what the gallery does is an intermediary between the collector and the artist. And that's the relationship. It's gallery to collector, and it's gallery to artist. But if you are not an artist who is making those personal collections yourself, then you need somebody to do it for you. And so that's kind of an overview of what somebody from Christie's has seen over the last 6 months. It's been absolutely fascinating. I have gotten to meet a number of NFT artists, movers, and shakers in person. I've loved them all. It's been absolutely fantastic. For everybody in New York, I'll be emceeing the Dreamverse showcase with the Metaverse team on November 4th at Terminal 5. That's going to be really, really cool. We have incredible artists involved in that. And in the last little bit here, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to try to follow along. Oh, and last but not least, I put up in there, if anybody comes to you and says this is not real art, when I was at Christie's in 2007, we sold a piece by Martin Creed, work number 200, air, half the air in a given space. No joke. It's a piece of paper that says 12-inch white balloons in air. Dimensions variable. Choose a space. Calculate the volume of the space. Using air, blow up white 12-inch balloons until they occupy half the volume of the space. Executed 1988. That's all the artwork was. It sold for $90,000. Balloons in a room. And if that's not enough, Pierre Manzoni, 1933 to 1963, he took a shit in a can, and that sold for £1,000 at Christie's. No joke. I put a link up to it way up. Merde d'artiste. So if anybody from the traditional art world ever comes to you and says this is not art, just be like, yeah, but shit in a can is. All right. That's me off my that is me off my hobby horse. But anybody from the art world, anybody from any world tells you this is bullshit, just be like, yeah, well, sometimes you put that in a can and sign the artist's name to it. It's worth something. So like, you don't need a cosign. You don't need anything else. You need your community and you need your belief in yourself, and it's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
CK, this was phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time and for this. Unless, I think there's one question if you want to take it.
Yes.
It asked about Christie's and smart contracts.
Oh, so part of the issue was in May, Christie's was not accepting DAOs to come in and bid, which is one of the reasons why we didn't get that $25 million. And the legal department just didn't have the creativity or foresight or infrastructure. The little backstory: in 2000, a number of people from both Christie's and Sotheby's went to prison for collusion, and that left an indelible mark. Christie's and Sotheby's are not trying to break the law at all, and so it was easier for them just to push back on all those. I think it has changed since then. I'm not in-house, but if they don't figure out smart contracts by now, then it's kind of out there. Oh, and as a coda, last thing, a sale 2 days ago. Where was it? Nope. All right. 2 days ago in Hong Kong at Christie's. One punk sold for 33 million Hong Kong dollars, which is about 4 million US. The market is robust. They had a bunch of stuff from Larva Labs. They had a bunch of apes. Christie's learned their lesson from May, and they are absolutely crushing it right now. And so anybody who's like, oh, NFTs are over, the news of NFTs deaths, whenever that was, are just greatly exaggerated. These are here to stay. Christie's is bought in, Sotheby's is bought in, Phillips is bought in, and they're selling for awesome prices.
Awesome. Thanks, CK. Okay, we're going to transition to our next session now. Thanks again.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.